Hopefully it doesn't take too long to upload. There it is there. Yeah, it's still uploading to the channel. No surprises there. Does take a little while. There it is. Game audio is working. Party audio is working. The stream's up. The chat's up. We're all good to go. That's absolutely fantastic. Hello everyone and welcome to round 8 of the PlayStation Pacific Tier 1 Championship here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Lane Everingham, your lead commentator for this event, and this time we're racing at the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit for the British Grand Prix, one of the most historically significant circuits in the world of motorsport. Silverstone was originally an RAF airfield used during the Second World War. It was turned into a racetrack in 1947, and in 1950 it would host the first ever Formula One World Championship race. Within the 7 decades between then and now, Silverstone has turned into one of Europe's and one of the world's premier racing facilities. It measures out at 5.89 kilometres and consists of 18 corners and 2 DRS zones that lead down the Wellington Straight into Turn 6 Brooklands and down the Hangar Straight into Turn 15 Stowe Corner. These two areas will prove to be prime overtaking spots, amongst a couple of others such as Turns 3's Village and the turn 16-17 chicane of Vale. For the rest of the circuit, the drivers will have to be mindful of several technical sections, most notably the incredibly fast Cops Corner at turn 9 and the most famous part of the circuit, the Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel S's, formed by turns 10 through 14. These corners have a very, very fine margin for error, so a single mistake could prove costly. Now, being a well-known, well-raced circuit, qualifying tends to be very close and competitive, and races tend to be quite similar as well, which is fantastic, as this is the second sprint round of the championship. Now, before we focus on qualifying, there is a bit of news to go through first from last week's race in Suzuka. There were no incident reports from last week's race, so the final finishing results remain unchanged. In the Drivers' Championship, GeForce Crichton is leading the way on 177 points. 14 points behind him is GeForce 40 on 163. They're turning into the two main championship protagonists, as third-place driver GeForce Leo is on 106, a fairly long way behind 40, though certainly not out of mathematical contention by any means. Spicy, Leo's teammate, is P4 on 97 points, followed by Plevs on 96. P6 is Spilly on 87, followed by iContrast on 81. And it's a big old jump to Ferrari Pro, who is on 48. Then Wogboy on 46, and Bags Liddell rounds out the top 10 on 40. In the Constructors' Championship, we have a very interesting looking table. Ferrari and McLaren are sitting at the top. Both teams are on 203 points. It's looking quite interesting for the Constructors' Championship. And Mercedes aren't too far behind. They're on 189 points. Alpine are P4 on 131, followed by Red Bull on 101, AlphaTauri on 96, and Alfa Romeo on 84. Then Williams on 80, Haas on 52, and at the bottom of the table, we have Aston Martin on 24 points. And that's pretty much it in terms of news. We can now focus on qualifying. I can introduce my co-commentator for tonight, who is once again GeForce Pato. Pato, you raced here on Sunday for the Elite Series. What's it like racing at this historic racetrack?
Well, good evening everyone. Well, what can I say? It's one of the milestones of F1 actually. All the history that is going and just told before, it's just an amazing track. Even the new version, which was created in 2011 with new first sector, it's actually really nice and improved racing. And to be fair, it's actually pretty funny on wet conditions as well, because on Sunday we had some rain, and I have to tell you, I had really a lot of fun driving around here with low downforce setups, because a lot of drivers will go for a really low wing setup because of the straights and the high speed corners you can find here. And but Silverstone is just one of the pinnacle of F1, together with Monza, Spa, and Suzuka, I think.
But no,
really looking forward to this.
It's certainly a fantastic racetrack, and over the years that I've done commentary, Silverstone has always created some very, very interesting races. So, and we get a sprint format here, so we'll have a 9-lap race before the main race that will dictate the starting order for the main race. There are also 10 points available for the race winner, so there are plenty of points here to be scored. So this is going to be one of those pivotal championship rounds in this season of racing. A bit like Miami, where we saw 40 absolutely dominate that race weekend. Won both the sprint and also the main race. Though he's not going to have an easy time here at Silverstone, isn't he? Because it's insanely competitive here at Silverstone.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's one of those tracks where everyone is actually strong. So I think we're going to see really tiny gaps in quali. And of course, the sprint race just adds something to this race. So we're going to have fun. I'm pretty sure we're going to have fun.
And I haven't got a weather report either from any of the drivers. As you can see, it is quite overcast here during this qualifying session. I'm not sure if we will see any wet weather interference during the sprint or the main race. But as it stands right now in this qualifying session with 12 minutes left on the clock, we have GeForce Leo at the top with a 1 minute 26.815. Championship leader GeForce Crichton is about to finish a flying lap as Spicy jumps up to P2. Crichton jumps up to P2, overtakes Spicy to set a 1 minute 26.919. Only 1/10 of a second separating the top two at the moment. 40's still in the pit lane as well. Taking a little while to set his first flying lap. But as of right now, we've still got a few cars out on track. We got Karma making his way around. He's invalidated this flying lap. It looks like he's going to complete it, though. Try and get a reference time on the board. Roscoe on a flying lap. He's making his way down the old pit straight on the pre-2011 layout of Silverstone, where Copse Corner was turn 1. Yeah, you can imagine what that's like in an online lobby. Going through turn 1 when the field's all bunched up. It probably wouldn't be fun at all. As you head down the hanger straight up towards Stowe Corner, turn 15. One of the better overtaking spots on the racetrack. Entry speed 330 kilometers an hour. And you can carry a ridiculous amount of speed around Stowe as well. A lot of high-speed corners, which tends to dictate higher downforce, but you really do need to run lower wings around here. As we've seen in previous weeks, Marco, you need that straight-line speed for the race. As Vengeance, he's making his way around Copse Corner, up towards the Maggots and Beckett's S's. He'll enter into the S's at 313 kilometers an hour, chucking his way through every apex, getting it pretty spot on all the way through. No oversteer, no understeer from Vengeance as he makes his way down the hanger straight up towards Stowe Corner. Again, entry speed's about 330 kilometers an hour. Chucks it in, hits the apex, 5th gear, then up to 6th at the exit. And into the Vale chicane. And not a bad overtaking spot, especially if you can get a run out of turn 15. And around the tricky final corner of Club to complete the lap. And Vengeance jumps to P4. It's McLaren, Mercedes, McLaren, Mercedes. That's the top 4. And Vision in P5 rounding out the top 5. In fact, he begins a flying lap. We're right on board. Give you a guided tour of the racetrack. Around Abbey, turn 1. Then into the flat-out left-hander of turn 2. Then into Village. Turn 3, down to 3rd gear, back on the accelerator, nice and gently, and around the loop, turn 4, up towards Aintree, turn 5. It's important that you get this right so you can maximise the straight line speed down the Wellington Straight and up towards turn 6, Brooklands. Hard on the anchors, bringing it down to 4th gear. Does he short shift? No, he doesn't. Keeps it in 4th, and around Luffield, turn 7, down to 3rd gear. It's on the power very nicely. No oversteer, no wheel spin at all at the exit of Luffield. Around Woodcote, turn 8, passing a Ferrari down the old pit straight up towards Copse Corner. 7th gear. Maybe misses the apex by a little bit. You can take a bit more curb, but he had a nice, beautiful run around there. Into the S's, the Maggots and Beckett's S's. Around turn 12, around turn 13, then into Chapel, turn 14. opens DRS down the hangar straight, and he's currently up by 0.2 of a second. Up towards Stowe Corner, turn 15. Entry speed just under 330, so Vision carrying slightly more wing compared to some of the other drivers that I've seen. And into the Vale chicane, turn 16 and 17. Oh, and he loses the back end, losing time as he heads around Club Corner to complete the lap, and he only improves by 15 thousandths. Just one tiny mistake. That's all it takes, but he was still able to improve. Stays P5 though with that lap.
Yeah. What a nice qualifying we're watching, and yeah, we were talking. You were talking about low wing setups, and yeah, it's actually really hard on this game because the nature of the cars is really understeery, and you also need to have low wings as well, which makes the car a lot more understeery, of course. And I think it's the real challenge of this game in the end. The only really different thing about the last games and this one is the understeer that kicks when, especially mid corner. You can feel the lot mid corner.
Yeah, I do agree with that. The front end, I have noticed over my time driving these things, the Spilly jumps up to P5 with the 27.3. Yeah, the front end isn't anywhere near as pointy as what it used to be. You could really chuck it into corners, even with low to medium wings. But now, yeah, you have to run low wings, though. As we saw at Suzuka in particular, when we saw drivers run higher wings, it just didn't work at all. Because they had to drive absolutely flat out through the first sector to build up time, because they knew through the second and third sectors they were losing because they didn't have the straight line speed.
Yeah, exactly.
As Crichton makes his way out of turn 7 onto the old pit straight around Luffield, as 40 jumps up to P2, he misses out on pole by 3 thousandths of a second to GeForce Leo, who is making his way through the Maggots and Beckett's S's. And Williams has lost it at the exit of turn 7, bringing out yellow flags. As we head around Chapel and onto the hangar straight, Leo's up by only 45 thousandths. Crichton, meanwhile, is only up by 36 thousandths. So they're not improving by much, but they are improving by just a little bit. Out of Stowe, up towards Vale, down from 7th gear all the way down to 4th, clipping the first apex, short shifting up to 5th gear rather. Around the final corner and crossing the line, he doesn't improve. He lost time in the final sector. Crichton improves by 8 hundredths to a 26.835. He is 2 hundredths behind Leo. That's the gap of the top 3. It is 2 hundredths of a second.
My goodness.
Yeah. Yep. Those 3 are well and truly in a class of their own. Vengeance making his way through turns 1 and 2 and up towards Village turn 3. Brings it down to 4th gear, back on the accelerator. Now around the loop. This is probably more important than Aintree, to be brutally honest. In the dry, Aintree is quite flat out. But the loop, that will be the main corner that dictates how much speed you carry down the Wellington Straight. Nice run. And he's up by a 10th as well. That's a healthy improvement. He can challenge Spicy for P4. And if he can find any more time in the middle and final sector, he might, just might, be able to challenge the top 3. Oh, but he has invalidated. How did he do that? Might have done it at the exit of turn 7. Might have cut too much of turn 8. I've done that 1 or 2 times driving around here because there's so much runoff area on the inside of turn 8. You're inclined to use all of it when you're making your way round. If you use that a little bit too much, you get a warning and an invalidated lap for your trouble. Vision getting ready. Karma going back into the pits. P14 at the moment for him. Grimmy on an outlap getting ready. Currently P18 with a 28 flat. He is 1.2 seconds off the pace, and he's in last. That's insane. Vengeance. Yeah, he backed. He backed out. He's going to have another go. He probably realizes there's only 3.5 minutes left in this qualifying session, and With Silverstone, you got a fairly long outlap and inlap because it's a long track. It's 5.9 kilometers long. It's quite lengthy. Not only that, but you probably got one of the longest pit lanes on the calendar. It is so long to go through, as Vision has had a moment at turn 4. Like, mainly because you take it at 60 kilometers per hour. You're just crawling your way through, and it takes forever to get through it.
Yeah, it takes ages, but actually it's 60 kilometers per hour because, of course, it will be faster to the line if you go with 80.
Yes.
That's the only reason why. Yeah. Unfortunately, because I agree with you, it takes ages.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, it's just the nature of the Val chicane in the final corner. It'd just be unfair if it was set at 80, you could just enter pit lane and, you know, finish faster, as it were.
Yeah.
So yeah, it has to be limited to 60. But that catches drivers out as well with the 60 kilometers per hour speed limit. Because not only are you crawling through it, you have to slow down a lot for the pit lane entry. And I mean a lot. You have to stop pretty damn hard as Vengeance improves by 28 thousandths to set at 27.2. He probably won't be too happy with that. He knows how much pace he had on that first lap. But with these tyres in this game, you get one run. And that's it. After that run, your tyres are significantly worse compared to the lap before. So Vengeance did all that he could with old tyres. And he's still P5. So we'll wait and see what the other drivers do. We've got a lot of guys on outlaps. I reckon, though, we got to keep our eyes on the top 3, I think. Like, these 3 separated by 200ths of a second. They got to keep an eye on that clock as well. They don't want to dawdle. A lot of them will have time to spare, but you don't want to mess around with the clock. They never mess around with the clock. Because the clock always wins. So, yeah. Alrighty, 40 getting ready. Crichton, he'd be the first of the leading trio to set a flying lap. Spicy's in. Look at that queue of cars making their way through Chapel. Look at them all desperately trying to find some traffic. Deary me. As Luke jumps up to P5 with a 27.249. He's just beaten Vengeance by, 12 thousandths of a second. Crichton around Club Corner and onto the Hamilton Straight. He'll begin his final flying lap up towards Abbey. Turn 1, chucks it in, flat out through the right-hander, flat out through the left-hander, and then hard on the brakes into the Village hairpin. Up towards the loop now, down to 3rd gear. Gets back on the accelerator nice and gently. No oversteer, no wheel spin whatsoever from the current championship leader. Up towards the first sector split. The clock says he is down by 7 thousandths of a second. Leo, he's up by 84 thousandths of a second. That is a considerable improvement considering how tight these 3 drivers are. And I didn't quite catch what 40 did to the first sector. He's currently making his way around Luffield and onto the old pit straight. And again, no oversteer, no wheel spin. That car looks planted. Into the Maggots and Beckett's S's goes G-Force Crichton. 7th gear through 12. 6th gear through 13. And around Chapel, he loses the back end briefly, but catches it well. But he's still down by 26 thousandths to the middle sector.
Oh, Leo.
Leo had... Oh, wow! He's up by almost 0.2 of a second to the middle sector. 40. He's making his way up towards Stowe for the final time in qualifying. Crichton makes his way through the Vale chicane up towards Club Corner. Crichton will cross the line to not improve at all. Stays P3. Leo improves to a 26.5. A mega lap from the McLaren driver. 40, can he respond? No. He only improves by a 10th with a 26.7. Leo's obliterated it. Look at that. And as you mentioned to me pre-stream, Marco, Leo looked incredibly fast as Plebs jumps up to P5. He looked incredibly fast in TT. He's put it together in qualifying.
What a lap, 26.5. Unfortunately, Crichton and Ford couldn't improve that much in the first sector. That made the difference, in my opinion. But of course, we've got a sprint race now, and this is going to be really, really nice to watch.
Correct.
Good luck by Plebs too, by the way.
Yeah, he almost cracked into the 26s. So did Spicy, I believe, who was in 4th, if I recall that list.
Yeah.
So we had only 3 drivers in the 26s, but we had a few drivers who were very close. But there we are. 26.559 is the pole lap from GeForce Leo. He's out qualified for by a 10th and a half, and let me assure you, that's a lot for Silverstone. That is a lot, especially for top split. Crichton P3, Spicy P4, Plebs P5, Spilly P6 and 10. Luke is 8th, followed by Vengeance and Vision, rounding out the top 10. iContrast is next, followed by Ferrari Pro, then Wogboy, then Karma, 1 second back. P1 to P14, 1 second. Then Darren 11, Bags, Roscoe Arm, Grimmy, and GeForce Zach will start from the back after not setting a lap time. Stonking lap indeed, Drax. Perfect way to describe it. It's a stonking lap. But no, it's absolutely true. You do not score points in qualifying. You score them in the race. That's where it matters the most. And what conditions do we have for the sprint? Oh, it's completely clear. This is not very Britain weather. We don't have a single cloud in the sky. What's going on?
We've got one on Sunday as well, so...
But, yeah, no, this is looking like it's going to be a completely dry race. Now, Marco, do you believe any drivers are going to pick the soft compound tyre for this sprint?
Well, it's not the best choice for sure. But if you're stuck on traffic and feel like you're faster than some cars in front of you, it may be a solution to be aggressive on the first 2 laps.
Yep.
The softs are really hard to keep them in the right temperature, to be honest.
Yep.
And we'll see. I see a lot of medium runners right now.
I see them too. Yeah, everyone's on the medium compound tyre. No one's taking the soft tyre gamble. So that's quite understandable. As you've mentioned before, the soft tyre does get quite hot. So there's no point using, even in a 9-lap sprint, they become quite unusable. So everyone is on the medium tyre.
To be fair, they were usable in the last sprint race we had at Miami, but around here, just nah. Because it's full of high-speed corners, there's a lot of load on the tyres, and it's just not worth it.
Yep, fair enough. So now it's a straight-up dogfight then, from 1st to 19th. Everyone's on the medium compound tyre, so we don't need the tyre graphic. We can put that away. Don't need it. But we'll do a quick rundown of the order once again. So we've got Leo start. That's Crichton exploring the track limits on the outside of turn 8. Just seeing if there's any grip out there. I really don't think there is. But Leo starts from pole. 40 starts from P2. Crichton P3, then Spicy. Plebs P5, followed by Spilly and 10 Sandals. Luke P8, followed by Vengeance, and Vision rounds out the top 10. Sporting the Lando Norris helmet as well, I've just noticed. iContrast, P11, followed by Ferrari Pro in 12th. Then Wogboy, Karma, Darren 11, Bags Liddell, Roscoe Arm, Grimmy, and Zach. To note as well, this guy in the Ferrari won Pacific Elite here at Silverstone. That was thanks to a safety car that changed the entire race. So if we see one tonight, particularly in the main race, expect some shenanigans going on.
Definitely, 100%.
Because Delta's stupid here. The time delta is very stupid here.
It's stupid everywhere, just to be fair, but
to be fair, you're quite right. You're absolutely right, actually. The delta is stupid everywhere, but it's particularly noticeable here at Silverstone.
It is.
But all the drivers are lining up, ready to race here. A 19-car field, a very healthy-sized field for this British Grand Prix. Everyone's lined up, ready to race. We have got 10 red lights. And the sprint race is underway here at Silverstone. It's a nice start from just about everybody. It's a drag race to turn 1, though, between Leo and Ford. And Ford, down the inside, takes the lead. Leo tries to fight back, but can't do it. He has to stay in second position. Around the outside, he looks at turn 3, but he cannot get back in front. Fordy is in the lead. A great start from the Ferrari driver. Crichton still in third, then Spicy, then Plebs, Spilly, P6, then Luke. Down the Wellington Straight we go, up towards Brooklands. The guys at the back really fighting hard. Around Brooklands we go. Luke applying pressure to Spilly as they head around Luffield, turn 7. You can see Vision, he's made up a few spots as he's overtaken by Contrast. He too has made up a few spots on that start. Around turn 8 they go, onto the old pit straight and up towards turn 9. By Contrast, into P8. He's made up 3 places from the start of this race. Up towards Maggots and Beckett's, the high-speed S's in this middle sector. Everyone getting through pretty unscathed, as you'd imagine from these top split drivers. But 40, this is your second good start in a row. Absolutely nailed it off the line. Took the inside line at turn 1 and took the lead. Fantastic. Down towards the Vale chicane. 3.5 tenths separating the top 2. Leo, he'll have a hard time getting that place out. Oh, Spilly has overtaken Luke. That was through the Vale chicane. Out of Club Corner and onto the Hamilton Straight. Luke tries to fight back. Looking down the inside at turn 1 of all places. But can't quite get it done. Spilly runs a bit wide, but he holds on to position. Up towards turn 3. You can see Contrast closing in on the brakes, but not by enough to try and attack the Alpine in front. Oh, Luke getting very comfortable with Spilly there at the apex of turn 4. Oh, he lost control. He runs wide. Oh, he doesn't Raikkonen it. Oh, thank goodness for that. Oh, here we go, side by side through turn 6. Now into turn 7. Contrast looking around the outside here at Luffield. Just doesn't have the grip nor the speed to drive around the Alpine. So he stays in P8. Up towards Cops Corner, turn 9. Look at the drivers fly through that right-hand bend. Absolutely great camera shot, that curb cam there at turn 9 rather. Through the S's, they go. Through Maggots and Beckett's, and then through Chapel, and onto the Hangar Straight. You can see Contrast closing in bit by bit, but not by enough to tackle the Alpine in front. Now Leo, he has lost a little bit of time to the race leader. It's 9/10 of a second between the top 2. Critically, Leo needs to stay within that 1 second range. He cannot lose DRS, and he's just about to. It's the beginning of lap 3. DRS is now enabled, and look at that gap. It's just over a second through turn 1. Into turn 2, a little bit wide there at the entry to turn 2, and he lost time to the Ferrari drive. Oh, he's going to lose time there as well. A mistake at turn 3. Clipped the inside curb, lost control of the car. It cost him 2.5 tenths, and now Crichton's in with a shot to try and take P2 away from Leo. He opens DRS. Does he close in? No, not really. Not, ooh, hello. Not massively anyway. As we head around Brooklands and around Luffield, the gap at 4/10 of a second. Leo, he needs to get within a second. He cannot allow 40 to drive away. This is very reminiscent to Miami. Incredibly reminiscent. When Ford's out in front, he's got clear air. He can just drive away. Leo, he's doing all he can to not allow that to happen. Through the S's, he needs to send it here. 1.1 seconds is the gap. It's hovering between 1.1 and 1, and he's not close enough. He will not have DRS down the Hangar Straight. But 40, he's not pulling away either. The gap is still about a second. Around Stowe Corner, up towards the Vale chicane. Spicy's losing a bit of ground to the top 3 as well. He needs to stay within a second. Cannot afford to lose DRS. Tend to lose quite a bit of time, but Leo's done a superb job keeping up with 40, doing all he can to keep up with 40. You can see the flashing red light at the back of the McLaren as well, so he is low on battery. As they head up towards turn 3, chucks it in to the right-hander, and around the left-hander of the loop. It's important that you get a nice exit here. You can see there, no wheel spin, no oversteer, no nothing from Leo, but he doesn't get as good an exit as what 40 did. The gap increases to 1.1. Crichton still there, just hovering behind in P3, biding his time, but getting very close there at turn 6. Definitely deeper under brakes there, Brooklands. Got very, very close to Leo, but he wasn't in any real position to try and attack. Not from that far back anyway. Oh, up towards...
And Leo is also out of battery, which compromises him a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, if we switch on telemetry, 3%. You compare that to 40, who has 40%. And Crichton, who has 30%. And Crichton, notoriously, is someone who spends a lot of battery. Speaking of which, that's exactly what he's doing. Down the hanger straight, down the inside at Stowe, and he's through into second position. Nothing that 40 could do about that. Now it's down to the Mercedes driver to try and close in on the Ferrari of G-Force Ford. Can he do it? The gap sitting at 1.1, now 1.2 seconds. Now, Crichton, well, there's the fastest lap. Understandable, he had DRS down both straightaways, down the Wellington and down the Hangar Straight. It's quite obvious that he would set fastest lap. And even with the overtake, he wasn't really compromised at Stowe corner either. Still have this midfield train. None of these guys are really able to do anything. Oh, a big slide there from Luke. Here we go. We might have some action here. Here comes Vision with a whole heap of speed. He has the battery turned on to max. DRS open. Down the inside he goes. Into Brooklands. And he's through into P8. A nice move there. And that overtake happened because of a small mistake at turn 4. Just lost the back end of the car. Lost momentum. Opened the door for Vision and he moves through into 8th. But now, Vision, he's not within DRS range of high contrast. He's a 10th off. And the DRS detection zone is at turn 11. And he's not going to get it. He was about a 10th off. Less than a 10th off, in fact. He makes his way onto the hangar. Yep, no DRS at all. For Vision. Nothing. Nada. Not a thing. Oh, Spilly getting very close to Plebs. We've got a battle on for 5th. Into the Vale chicane, deep on the brakes. Oh, he misses the apex by a fair bit. As Vengeance overtakes 10 Sandals. That is for P10. Around Club and onto the Hamilton Straight. You can see that small mistake cost him quite a few tenths. But fortunately, he's still within a second. And more importantly, Plebs has no DRS available to him. As Wogboy gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Now Spicy's joined this sort of 3-car queue of Crichton, Leo and himself. Crichton doing all the hard work, trying to catch up to Ford. He's now spent all his battery. He's under 10, well, he's just reached 10% now, thanks to him braking at Brooklands. But he spent a fair bit of battery to try and catch up, and a bit of a wiggle there from Crichton too. 40, he just... Ooh! Ooh! He's low on fuel. He's got... Yeah, he is running even on fuel right now.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can save a lot of fuel around here, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Gotta keep an eye on that. Gotta keep an eye on that. 40 is low on fuel. I wonder how big of a factor that will have. Because, yeah, the other guys, looking at their telemetry, they can push as hard as they like. They don't have the same flashing red icon. 0.1 over, 0.5 over for Leo. 0.8 over for Crichton. You can see there the flashing red light. He is dead set, even. Ford, he is even. And he's pulling away still.
Yeah, as long as he is even, he shouldn't have any issues.
Yeah.
There's a lot of corners where you can lift and coast on this track, so...
Yeah. Yeah. Just looking at that number... It is fluctuating. It goes to like 0.03 over, then it hovers back under, then it hovers back over. He's just, he's managing the fuel and pulling away. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
That's very impressive. And as I mentioned with Crichton, he's got 0.8, 0.9 now over. So Crichton's got a fair bit of extra fuel on board. He's got one extra lap. That'll be like, what? Maybe 0.2, 0.3 of a kilogram extra fuel or something like that. And that can make a difference. That can definitely make a small difference. That might be just enough. Yeah, no one else really in a position to battle. Everyone's just sort of stuck in their own world right now. They're in DRS trains, but none of them are close enough to battle. So, they're all just minding their own beeswax right now. Luke rather has a penalty. That's not the penalty graphic, stupid. That is. 3 seconds next to his name. Same with Wogboy down in P6. Both of them more than likely accumulating warnings. And that's going to affect particularly Luke. Because, well, everyone else is tightly packed behind him. So yeah, he's going to lose a fair few positions.
Spicy made a big mistake. And let's also point out that also Plebs is low on fuel. But Plebs is much slower than Ford. Plebs has got minus 0.12.
Yeah, he does. So, with 40, he was hovering on even all the time. So he was able to manage it a bit better. He was able to go a little bit over, then a little bit under, then back to a little bit over. With Plebs, he has to go a little bit under all the time now to try and get it back to zero. And as a result,
because it's just one lap remaining. Oh my goodness.
He might run out of fuel coming into the final sector. Maybe. We'll have to keep an eye on it. As 40 makes his way around Club to begin the final lap. And isn't that just a power move? Oh my goodness. A power move and a half. Sets the fastest lap of the race as well. With a 29 flat. My goodness, he looks superb out there. Crichton, Leo, Spicy.
Watch out for Spilly.
Oh yes, oh yes. Around the loop, turn 4, third gear. And here he comes. He'll switch on the battery. Switch on DRS. Here we go. What can Plebs do about this? Sitting in the slipstream. Pulls out of it. Looks to the inside. Plebs can't do a thing. Has to let the Red Bull
Watch out for the switchback.
Nah, not close enough.
No.
And I think he would like to get DRS down the down the hangar straight to try and save fuel if he can.
Yeah, he's saved some. He's managed to save some.
Yeah, he still needs to save just a little bit more. That might put him a tad bit vulnerable to eye contrast. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Ooh, and we do have a battle on for P8 as well. Vision under a bit of pressure from Vengeance here through the S's. Vengeance will have a go. Heading onto the hangar straight and up towards Stowe Corner. Vengeance closing in. He'll look to the outside for the move. And he'll probably get it done quite easily, I think. As 40, he'll make his way out of Vale and around Club Corner to take the win in this sprint race here at Silverstone. A fine performance from him. Crichton P2, Leo P3, Spicy 4th, then Spilly. Vengeance and Vision battling to the line, and it's Vengeance who ends up on top in 8th, followed by Vision in 9th, and 10 Sandals rounding out the top 10. But yeah, missed out on a few places. Spilly P5, Plebs P6. So eye contrast couldn't quite get the Alpine driver at the end. Then Vengeance, Vision, and 10, completing the top 10. Yeah, it's pretty insane, Gavin. Just how good these guys are at driving these things. They're insane. Yeah. 40 takes a well-deserved win, and a well-deserved, I say, driver of the day, because he drove pretty spot on that entire sprint race. Got a great start, took the lead at turn 1, and he never looked back. He ended up winning by 2.3 seconds, which again, for Silverstone, pretty decent margin. Crichton P2, then Leo, Spicy, Spilly, Plebs, Eye Contrast, Vengeance, Vision, and 10 Sandals. That's the point-scoring places for the sprint. And then we have Ferrari Pro Karma, Luke, Bags, Roscoe Arm, Grimmy, Darren 11, Wogboy, and G4 Zach classified a lap down in a sprint. Interesting. So, main race time. Will we see the wet? Will we see... no, it's the dry. It's all the dry. Fair enough. So yeah, not really even a cloud in the sky. Nice and clear. Very un-Britain-like. So... But, for this, Pato, what are you starting on? Hards or mediums?
Hards. Yeah, 100%. I think in every track, actually, like, apart from Monaco, maybe, the hards are always the better choice, unless you start on the front row. If you start on the front row, maybe you can create a gap, and you want to start on mediums rather than on hards. Because if you pull out of the DRS in a track like Silverstone, you're gonna get a big advantage, as Ford showed in the sprint race as well.
So, yeah, let's see if your prediction comes true. How many people will we see start on the hard tyre? Will it be reminiscent of Silverstone, where we see just about everybody? Not Silverstone, Singapore, where we see everybody on the hard tyre. Let's see.
Yeah.
Just about everybody is starting on the hard tyre. So a quick rundown again. We got 40, Crichton, Leo, Spicy, Spilly, Plevs, Contrast, Vengeance, Vision, and 10 Sandals. That's the top 10, and they're all starting on the hard tyre. Ferrari Pro is the first driver in the whole order to start on the mediums. He's in P11. Karma, Luke, and Bags are starting on the hard tyre. Roscoe Arm is starting on the mediums. Grammy, Darren 11, and Wogboy are starting on the hard tyres. And GeForce Zach, who I believe is in AI, is starting P19 on the medium compound tyre. So we've got 3 cars on the mediums. Everybody else on the hard tyre. So, yeah, fairly convincing, I'd say, towards the hard tyre. That means just about everybody's on the same strategy. It'll just be a game of undercutting / overcutting your rivals here at Silverstone. As we see Zach again exploring the track limits, this time at Cops. But what would you favour, Marco? The undercut or the overcut?
Well, that's a really good question, because I would go for the undercut. But if you're on a DRS train and feel like the guys in front are not slowing you down, maybe the overcut can be also a thing.
Yeah. So yeah, it depends on the situation you're in, and with these guys, they can't just be talented in terms of their driving skill and driving pace. They need to be thinking on their toes, because obviously they don't have a race engineer to help them out. They've got to work out the strategy. So they need to work out the situation they're in, work out if they're gaining time or losing time with the position they're in, and take a gamble. Do they want to go out and do the overcut, stay out and do the overcut, or come in early, put on the softer compound tyre, softer, quicker tyre, go out and send it in clear air and try and gain some track position if you can. It'd be very interesting to see who does what. But everyone's lined up, ready to race for the second time here at Silverstone. All the drivers are now lined up, ready to go. We have 10 red lights. And the main race here at Silverstone, it's underway. It's a nice start from Crichton, and he has the inside line, but 40 once again, nailing it off the grid. It's too wide going through turn 1 for the midfield as they make their way through 2. Yellows are out. It's 10 Sandals. He's tumbled down to 19th. Spilly, Spicy, battling through turn 4. Spilly with the inside line. Spicy forced out wide. Spilly's into P4. Luke's tumbled down to P16 with an incident at turn 4 down the Wellington Straight up towards Brooklands for the first time in the main race. Spicy trying to counter-attack. Ferrari Pro and Plevs battling for position through Luffield, turn 7. onto the old pitch straight. It's a tight battle. Ferrari Pro has the nose in front, and he is on the medium compound tyre. He's had a superb start, actually. Up from P11 to P7. He's made up 4 spots on that start. Oh, and look at Contrast trying to attack around the outside at 11. Oh, my goodness me. That was a spectacular move at turn 10. He completed it at turn 11. But around the outside took a lot of respect from Spicy to allow that to happen. Spicy not having a great start. Up, down a few positions as Roscoe attacks Vision for P10. We had a few drivers shuffle around. Ferrari Pro up 4. Roscoe up 5. Darren 11 up 5. Wogboy up 3. Biggest loser is Tense Sandals with whatever happened at turn 1 to him. He's down 9 spots from P10. He's now in P19. With a lot of work to do. He probably needs a bit of luck to go his way. Again, 40 getting the start spot on. For the second race in a row here at Silverstone, he's hung on to the lead. Crichton's right there, giving him a hard time. Around turn 5 and down the Wellington straight towards Brooklands. The gap, 0.3 of a second. Crichton shows the nose, trying to distract 40 a little bit. But 40 remains calm. Maintains his lead. Coming out of turn 7. Up towards turn 8, then Copse Corner turn 9. Hopefully the interval fixes itself on the next lap as well. It's a bit annoying having glitchy intervals. So we're heading up towards the Maggots and Beckett's S's, turns 10, 11, then through turn 12, 13, then Chapel, turn 14. No DRS available just yet. It'll be available on the next lap. But Crichton, sitting deep in the slipstream, is closing in. He looks to the inside at Stowe. Goes for it as well. Side by side they go. But 40 on the outside was able to carry the speed and hang on to the lead. Great driving by the top 2. Now around Club Corner. The final turn on the racetrack and back onto the Hamilton straight as we get run over by Crichton with that camera angle. Around turn 1, it's now lap 3 of 26. DRS is now enabled. It's going to get pretty spicy at the front of the field. Through turn 3, up towards turn 4. 0.3 of a second separating the top 2. Crichton's on the attack. Through turn 5, you can see 40 pulling away ever so slightly as Spicy and Ferrari Pro are battling.
Yeah. Side by side, and Ferrari Pro gets the better grip of his medium tyres.
So he's into P6, up 5 places from the start. So he's making full use of those mediums. And I can't help how much of a disadvantage he'll have on the hard tyre with everyone else on the mediums in the second half of the race. Like, he's showing what the mediums can do here and now. What's he going to look like on the hard tyre in the second half? It'll be interesting to see how he fares. So,
yeah.
Through the S's, up towards the hangar straight. 5.5 tenths separating the top 2. Make that 5 tenths. Make that 4.5. Make it 4 tenths as Crichton closes in. Not by enough, though, to obviously attack. But just to apply pressure to his G-Force compatriot. Up towards the Val chicane. As Darren 11 overtakes Vision. That was for P11. He's now up 6 places, the Alfa Romeo driver. Making a charge up through the field as 40 sets a new fastest lap with a 31.0. Through Abbey, up towards turn 2, 7th gear. Then up towards the hairpin of turn 3, down to 4th. Clobbering the inside curb nicely. Around turn 4, closes in a lot at the apex. But you can see the exit 40 gets out to turn 4. He's able to build a small margin over Crichton, which keeps him at bay heading into turn 6. Oh, Crichton showing the nose. 40 runs a bit wide. He runs wide again at turn 7. Crichton tries, but he can't find a way through. You can see as well, Crichton is now running pretty even on fuel himself. I believe he's running under. Yep, he is running under. You can tell on the telemetry. He's also flashing the overtake button as well, which I believe is a technique you can use try and minimize how much you actually use the battery, but also get the extra power boost of the overtake itself. Up towards Stowe, and again he shows the nose. You see that sharp movement, didn't you, Marco?
Yeah.
My goodness.
It's just to tell Ford, okay, I'm here to fight.
Yep.
I'm here for your position.
The battle's on between the top two, and let's not discount, there's still a few drivers hovering behind, watching along, namely Leo Spilly. And rounding out the top 5 is Eye Contrast as they head into turn 3. Karma, 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He's down in P13 at the moment. And that's not a good sign to be 5 laps in, getting a 3-second time penalty.
Watch out for Crichton.
Yeah, he's going to have a go here. Down the inside at turn 6 again. Oh, it's tight. It is tight. But they get through once more. And this time he draws alongside through turn 7. But once again, 40 with the outside line gets better traction. He keeps the nose in front. And he maintains the lead. Heading up towards Cop's Corner. Crichton can't do a thing about it. He has to stay behind. He has to stay in P2.
Wow, what an audacious move from Crichton and Luffield. Oh my goodness. He just put his nose inside.
He said there was a gap. And he's going for it.
Now.
I reckon
he's now.
He's going to make mincemeat of 40 here. There's not much 40 can do about it. That's just DRS doing its thing. So Crichton has taken the lead at Stowe. A simple, elementary overtake there. And he's taken the lead, but 40, he's not done. He's nowhere near done with this. Oh, but he's had a moment. He rode the sausage curve at the exit of turn 17. He lost the back of the end of the car, but he caught it beautifully. Didn't lose any time with that. Oh, yellows are out. It's a Ferrari. It's Bags Liddell spinning at the final corner. He uses the runoff area to try and get out of the way of traffic, and he rejoins safely in P18. But the game obviously thought that he was a complete criminal, so they're giving him a 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. Oh, 40's battling Crichton hard at turn 6. Couldn't unfaze the Mercedes driver, though. Coming out of turn 7, onto the old pitch straight. 3/10 separating the two cars, 2.5, 2/10. They head up towards Cop's Corner. 8th gear, bringing it down to 7th at the apex. Gets back on the accelerator, using as much road on the left-hand side of the circuit as possible. Through Maggots and Beckett's, around turn 12, around 13, 6th gear, keeping it at 6 in the exit, and around Chapel onto the hangar straight. And here comes 40 with DRS open. He's got momentum. He's got the speed. He's got the inside line. Heading into Stowe Corner. They're side by side at the apex. On the exit, are they side by side? No! 40 has retaken the lead. A move down the inside at Stowe. Now Crichton has to do it all over again.
What a nice move for Ford. Yeah, these guys are not looking really gentle with each other, right? It's just top 7. We've not seen this kind of battles yet in this championship so early.
They're giving it to each other. They're giving it to each other really hard. Like you saw Crichton, he dives it up the inside, showing his nose, trying to throw off 40. 40 was trying to do the same thing as well, in the same spot, no less. And here comes Crichton. Will he do it again? Will he show the nose? The answer is no. He stays right behind 40 as they head around Luffield, turn 7. And Leo's just watching along in P3, just watching the top 2 battle, waiting for them to crash, maybe, and he can just take the lead. I'm sure he'd like that a lot. But he's just hovering back. 6.5 tenths back, watching the show, and he's got tons of battery. I'll switch on the telemetry. 82, 83%. Crichton's got a fair bit, so does 40. In fact, the top 3 have got immense amount of battery. Oh my goodness. Spilly, meanwhile, is on 11%. Poor Spilly. Contrast, 36%. See the flashing red light on the back of the Red Bull. Crichton, oh, very close to the Ferrari. Awfully close to the Ferrari, in fact. Heading out of Stowe into the Vale chicane. This is a fantastic battle between the top 2.
in the end, you can tell they are not going really fast because there's a really big train of cars. There's a immense DRS train, top 9 DRS train, because these guys are not pushing. So basically, all the others are stuck with them.
Yep. Now, Mr. Roscoe has elected to pit. This is something very similar to what he did in Pacific Elite. Pitted quite early to move on to the hard compound tyre. And that will work out for him quite a lot if we have a safety car between now to about lap 10 or so. As it proved to be the case in Pacific Elite. So, we have a safety car that might shake things up.
Yep. Yeah, for the big wiggle, sorry, at the exit of Luffield.
But, well, he's kept it in check, but Crichton's still right there. In fact, they built a bit of a margin over Leo. Caps out 1.9, and Spilly's dropped back. Look, 1.6 behind. He's losing ground to the top 3, and he can't quite challenge them. Here comes Contrast. He had a moment there in Chapel. And here he comes. There is nothing that Spilly can do about this. He is completely defenseless. Contrast is through into 4th position. Oh, but Spilly's right on his gearbox, though, on the exit. Ooh-wee. He was right up in behind Contrast there. Through the Vale chicane. Contrast getting a nice run there. 40 setting a new fastest lap. See Ferrari Pro just hovering behind. Still on those medium compound tyres. Still making them work. Yellows are out. It's a Haas. It's Karma. Spinning. At Club Corner, he drops down to 15th position. And because he doesn't use the runoff area on the outside of the racetrack, he, unlike Bags, doesn't get a 10-second time penalty. Around turn 6, Brooklands now into Luffield. The gap still hovering at 3.5 tenths. Leo has closed the gap to the top 2. He is still very much in this fight. Contrast in P4, Spilly P5. He has got Ferrari Pro on his gearbox. Heading up towards Copse Corner. Can't pass through here. Not even Hamilton and Verstappen could do it last year. I'm sure everyone knows what I'm talking about. Through the S's on Maggots and Beckett's. 7th gear. Brings it down to 6th gear. Will he bring it down to 5th? Yes, he will. Will he short shift? No, he doesn't. Uses all of 5th gear at the exit of turn 13. And down the hanger straight. Up towards Stowe. Ferrari Pro not close enough. Crichton, meanwhile, is on the back of Ford. Will he challenge here in Val? He looks, then he darts back onto the racing line. Trying desperately to distract Ford. But Ford, he remains unfazed, maintaining the lead. And Leo's just watching along, waiting patiently for his moment to strike. Through turns 1 and 2. Up towards turn 3. Crichton closes in on the brakes. Ford, he gets a nicer exit around turn 4. Oh, using all of the curve on the outside there. And 40 was able to pull away just that little bit. Coming out of turn 4. Leo closes in just a little bit on Crichton. Contrast, minding his own business. Yellows are out again. I believe it's Karma again. Having a moment. Rejoined safely, but he's now down in 17th position. Up towards Copse Corner. Gap hovering at half a second. Crichton's going to close in quite considerably down the hanger straight, but will he lose any time through the S's here? 40 making his way through, hitting every apex pretty spot on through that section. Crichton wasn't able to close in through the S's, but he'll close in here. Gap shrinks to 4 tenths, 3.5 tenths, down to 3 tenths as they go through Stowe. Meanwhile, Spilly has well and truly got his hands full. Ferrari Pro is right on his gearbox as they head up towards the Vale chicane. Will Ferrari Pro attack? The answer is no. Not yet, anyway. Ferrari Pro just not quite in a position to try and make moves as they head around Club Corner and onto the Hamilton straight again. Up towards turn 1, 8th gear. Down to 6th gear. Wow, we don't tend to see people use 6th gear through turn 1. No dive bomb here from Ferrari. Oh, he has a moment, in fact, through turn 3. Had to counter steer big time, try and stop a slide. Crichton closing in. Karma's retired in the pit lane. He's had enough for tonight. So he's going to hang up his helmet, retire from the race, move on to next week. Out of turn 7. Up towards Woodcote, turn 8. Gap hovering at 4/10 between the top two. They're continuing to pull away from the rest of the field. The gap between P3 and 4 is now sitting at 3.3 seconds as the AI proceeds to dawdle out of the pits and find a place to park. Still not a thing in this game where the car despawns in the pit lane. To be honest, why am I even going to bother to ask anymore? It's just not going to happen. Here comes Crichton down the inside at Stowe. 40 leaves the door open, but he gets a run on the outside. They're side by side, heading up towards the Vale chicane. 40 with the inside line. He keeps the fight alive around the outside at 17. He runs a tad bit wide. That allows Crichton to get in front and take the lead. Ferrari Pro, meanwhile, has entered the pits to get off the medium compound tyre. Through turn 1, through turn 2. The top 3 separated by 0.3 of a second as they go through turn 3, coincidentally. Up towards turn 4, the loop. Then Aintree, turn 5. Oh, a bit of a moment at the loop, though, for Ford. A bit of a moment there. As they head on to the Wellington Straight, up towards Brooklands. 40 doesn't close in by enough to attack the new race leader. Stays behind in P2.
And is any of them going to go aggressive and maybe try and pit now for mediums? That could be also an idea.
This is one advantage that Leo has, because he can watch what the two in front do, then he can make his own decision. So
yeah, exactly.
Whereas Crichton, he has to make a decision without really any sort of reference. He has to look back to what the other two drivers are doing. So they could all copy each other, or they could all pit on different laps.
Exactly, and also because I think they're not gonna get in traffic when they get out of the pits, because there's a big gap after Bags, and I think they're gonna just come out between Bags and Ferrari Pro. Let's see. Oh, Ford.
Into the pits goes Crichton. He goes, and 40. Leo goes straight. Oh no, that was lag. That was a lot of lag.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it definitely was.
He went almost into the gravel trap. No, that was just lag. That's all that was. So Crichton's in. He's going to do over half the race on those medium tyres. Is the undercut going to work? Ooh. Spilly's moving on to the mediums as well. He's following Crichton. And as you rightly mentioned, they're both going to be in clear air. Both Tent Sandals and Bags will pass. Next car is Ferrari Pro, and they're going to come out well in front of Ferrari. Oh, maybe not Spilly. Oh, yes, these two were battling a few moments earlier. Spilly needs to get his tyres up to temperature. Ferrari Pro, his tyres are up to temperature. But for those medium tyres, they won't take too long. Not as long as a hard tyre anyway. Hard tyre takes forever to get up to temperature. It's really quite annoying.
Yeah.
Now, got a battle on for P11. 3-car battle for P7.
40's pushing like crazy in this lap. He's 3 times down on his best lap. He's surely gonna dive into the pits right now.
Yeah, absolutely. This is his end lap. In he comes. Into pit lane. Leo follows. Yeah. Oh, brake. Oh, pulls it up. Beautifully
that was
there.
Close.
That was close. A lot safer from high contrast. Spicy stays out. He doesn't want to double stack behind his teammate. So he's going to stay out for another lap. Darren 11, a 5-second time penalty for speeding into the pit lane. Look, where we're going to see at least one of those tonight. The pit lane here at Silverstone, like I said, you have to brake really, really hard for it. Now, Crichton, he's making his way really through the Vale. They're moving, aren't they? They're moving through the pit lane towards pit exit. Crichton's on the main straightaway. Here we go. Keep an eye on the red dot leaving pit lane. There is Ford. They're going to be side by side, and Crichton gets in front. Only just so.
Watch out though, because Crichton has got low battery.
That is true, but 40 and Leo will have cold tyres. So, I think it'll be okay. for Crichton. He's got almost 1 second over Ford. He needs to get that second over Ford. That way he can try and pull away if he can. The gap's sitting at a second right now. 40 needs to get those tyres up to temperature. Leo needs to get within a second of 40. He's using up his battery now. Down the old pit straight around Woodcote. Up towards Cops. 21% battery for Ford, so he can spend it here. He is spending it. 1 second. I don't think he will get DRS. Oh, it's tight. Oh, I think he got it. I think he'll get DRS. Leo won't, though.
Yeah.
Yep, DRS. There it is. He's going to gain a tenth and a half, maybe 2 tenths down the straight. It's 8 tenths, 7.5 tenths, 6 tenths. Yeah, he's gained.
That was close. That was key for Ford for his whole race.
And another big moment is that, yeah, Leo, he's outside of that range. So he's got some work to do to get back within that 1 second range, back into the fight. There's Crichton's fastest lap, as expected. He was pushing as well on that lap. That 40 was pushing. They needed to. It was probably the most pivotal lap of this race so far. So, but it's half a second separating the top two. This battle is not over. Leo, can he stay with it? He wants to stay with it. I want him to stay with it. A 3-car fight would be awesome. But he's got so much work to do without DRS, and he doesn't have the battery anymore. He spent it all. He needed to spend it. But unfortunately for him, his battle at the front, at least for the first 2 places, might be over, as I believe Wogboy might have had a moment at turn 5. I think.
Yeah.
It was Wogboy.
Yeah, it was Wogboy.
Oh, Vengeance overtaking Ferrari Pro down the inside at Cop's Corner of all places. You don't often overtake there. Vengeance into 7th position. Oh, and you see Ferrari Pro all over the back of the Merc. Losing a little bit of time. Obviously, he's on the hard tyre. Down the hangar straight. Up towards Stowe. Ferrari Pro in no position to try and attack. 40 just might be, though. 2 tenths separating the top 2. Leo, though, he's creeping back. The gap's a second now. He might... Oh, there's a response from Leo. A fastest lap. A 29.5. Rounded up. And he's back within a second. He's done it.
Yeah, he's done it. What a lap from Leo. Really important for him as well.
Low battery. He didn't have much battery to play with. That was him driving the wheels off this McLaren. He is in a second. He's got DRS. He is still in this fight at the front. Fantastic. Meanwhile, yeah, battles elsewhere. We've got Contrast and Spilly, 7 tenths apart. Got Spicy, Vengeance, and Ferrari Pro. Oh, and Plebs as well. He is right on the back of this. He wants to get by Ferrari Pro as soon as possible. He knows he's on hard compound tyres. He knows he just won't have the pace of those in front. So he'll get by as quickly as he can. Speaking of which, 3 tenths separating the top 2. I reckon 40 might launch an attack. DRS open. Will he use any battery? No, doesn't need to. Sitting in the slipstream. Not closing in by a great deal down most of the straight. He closed in by quite a lot towards the end of it. But for the most part, this wasn't close enough to try and attack Crichton into Stowe. Getting a nice run through that. Ooh, maybe a bit of a moment, maybe a bit of lag, not sure. As he makes his way onto the Hamilton straight. Leo, there he is. What a fantastic lap to get himself back into this fight. Showing the sheer pace that he's got underneath him. And he returns to the battle.
When it matters most.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Bags of Dell, a 3-second time penalty as well for multiple warnings. He's sitting down in 15th position. I believe he has 13 seconds. Oh, yellows are out. It's Spags Liddell, no less. We were speaking about him. He has a moment again at the final corner and tumbles down to 17th position. Yeah, with 13 seconds next to his name. 3 of those seconds are genuine. 10 of those seconds are very questionable, to say the least. Around Cop's Corner. up towards Maggots and Beckett's. Crichton hanging on to the lead, but for how long? That is the question. Through the S's, around 12, up towards turn 13, 2/10 of a second separating the top two. 4/10 of a second behind is GeForce Leo in third, watching along. Here comes Ford. Does he have the momentum? He looks to the inside. They're side by side through Stowe once more. Up towards Vale. Crichton keeps the lead, only just so. Crichton stays in front. Fordy stays in P2. Leo is lurking in third. He is right there. Now, it's lap 18. Still got a fair few laps to go. We got 9 laps to go. Plenty of laps to take place here at Silverstone. This battle is well and truly on. Spilly, not quite close enough to challenge Contrast. Contrast has got the measure over Spilly right now. Roscoe Arm, a 3-second time penalty, increasing his total to 8 seconds. Yeah, Spilly just unable to really attack. Yellows are out. It's Roscoe Arm. He spun. I mentioned Bag's got a penalty and he spun. Same thing happened with Roscoe Arm at turn 4. Spinning out as soon as I mention a penalty. Commentator's curse working in full swing. He's now down in 14th place. He's still inside the points. Both Aston Martins are still inside the points. But they really need a safety car to try and salvage any more than 14th and 15th at this point. Oh, and they need to try and... Well, actually, no, I don't think 10 will be able to remove 10 seconds from that, or even 5 seconds. That's I think that's a genuine 11 seconds next to 10th name. Could be wrong. Guess I'll find out post-race. 40 still battling Crichton. All over the back of him, heading into Vale. Through turn 17. Up towards turn 18. It's a nice run. Onto the Hamilton straight. Leo's dropped back just a little bit. He's had an untidy lap. Lost time. Needs to get back into the rhythm. Keep up with the top two. That is the critical thing. Most critical of all, though, is staying within that 1 second range. Cannot afford to lose DRS now. It's going to take another mega lap to try and get back within that 1 second range. So now, 1.5 tenths separating the top two going through Brooklands. I wonder what game Fordy's going to try and play. Is it a longer game? Will he let the laps tick over, then go for a final lap attack? I can't help but feel that Crichton would want exactly that.
Yeah.
Because
Ford in some way needs to surprise Crichton because they're both saving battery, and it would be too predictable to just try and overtake on the last lap.
Yeah.
So Ford needs to do something else.
Something that I've mentioned before on previous streams. This guy knows how to defend. Crichton knows how to defend the position. 40, he knows how to attack for position. Down the inside once again at Stowe, and he gets in front. He has taken the race lead. A nice move down the inside. Crichton can't quite counter at Vale. He gets awfully close to the back end of GeForce Ford, but not close enough to try and retake the lead. So on lap 20, with 7 laps to go, 40 is now our race leader. And Leo is once again right on the back of this, waiting in the wings. Around turn 3, up towards turn 4, third gear, down to second gear, short shifting up to third, trying to find the traction at the exit of the hairpin. Around Aintree and onto the Wellington straight. Climbs up through the gears with DRS open, sitting in the slipstream, but not closing in by enough to attack into Brooklands. Will he sneak in a sneaky dive here? No. A window opens, but Crichton quite wisely doesn't go through it. Around Woodcote, up towards Cops Corner. See Leo just waiting patiently in P3. Around turn 9, up towards the famous S's on Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Chucks it in into 10. Through 11, into 12, 7th gear, back on the accelerator, down to 6th gear, gets back to full throttle, then flat out around Chapel and onto the hangar straight. Crichton closes in thanks to DRS, but doesn't use any battery. None at all. He doesn't want to attack 40 just yet.
And Ford there's a slight advantage at this moment compared to Crichton, which is a 1 lap newer tire and also more battery because he's got 15.
Yep. And that is a very important advantage to have, especially in this year's game where the battery proves to be a very critical factor in these races. You need that extra battery life to try and attack.
Yeah.
So, but Crichton, he'll know what to do with what he has. So will 40. It'll still be an incredibly interesting battle at the front. Still got a few scraps going on behind, but no massive change in position. So we'll keep our eyes on this. Coming out of Luffield, heading up towards Woodcote, as I noticed as well. 10 Sanders, I believe, got another 3-second time penalty. Up towards Copse Corner. Just under half a second separating the top two. Crichton, I don't think he'll be in a position to attack this lap. He's not quite close enough heading into the S's. Unless he gets quite a nice run and decides to use battery, I don't think he'll be attacking here. No, he's not using battery, he's staying behind. Leo, he's on a similar resource situation as Crichton. He's got the same amount of battery. He is, of course, on 1 lap fresher tyres because he pitted at the same time as Ford did. But all in all three of these guys are fairly even, except for the fact 40, he's got 70% battery. It's now lap 22 of 26. We've got 5 laps to sort this race out. It is so not over between these three. It is on. Crichton will give it everything. Ford will give it everything. Leo waiting back. Will he go for broke? Try and go for the win? Or will he maybe try and let Ford and Crichton trip over each other and snatch victory that way? It'll be very interesting to see what happens here. Through turn 7. Gap still hovering at 4/10. Onto the old pitch straight. Around Woodcote. Using a little bit of battery there at the exit of Luffield. Heading up towards Copse Corner. Down to 7th gear. See, just absolutely nailing the apex. Using as much curb as you need to on the outside of Copse. Chucking it through the S's. Through the right-hander. 6th gear. Back up to full throttle through Chapel. He opens DRS. Doesn't use any battery though. You see Leo just waiting. 8/10 back. Gap shrinks to 3/10 as they go into Stowe. Wow, Crichton was deep under brakes. He was so deep. Closed in by 2/10 there at the apex. 40. He got a better exit thanks to him braking earlier. He's got half a second over Crichton as of right now. The rest of the battles, looking at the intervals, they seem to have stopped. All the gaps are sort of stationary right now. So this is it. Pretty much the only battle we have on track as they head around Aintree and onto the Wellington Straight. Half a second, 4/10 of a second, 3.5 of a second, closing in bit by bit down the straightaway thanks to DRS. But he's waiting. He doesn't want to attack just yet. He's just waiting patiently, waiting for his moment to strike. Up towards turn 9, Copse Corner. There's the race leader. There's Crichton. They're flying through Copse. Up towards Maggots and Beckett's.
Vision.
Oh, yes, he has spun. That is at the exit of turn 4. He's dropped down to 17th place with that mistake. He's outside of the points as of right now. Up towards the front though. Still 4/10. 3.5. Crichton waiting patiently. It's very different from Crichton. Crichton, he's so much more aggressive. He often goes for the opportunity as soon as possible. We've now got 3 laps to go. Lap 24 of 26. Through turn 1. Through turn 2. Up towards Village, turn 3. 40 hitting the apex well in 4th gear at turn 3. Nice wide line at the entry at the loop. It's a nice exit as well and pulls away from Crichton. The gap increases to half a second, and Crichton had to spend a bit of battery there. Close right back up on Ford, heading into Brooklands. And Leo, he's starting to lose touch. The gap's increased to almost a second there at Brooklands.
Oh, and watch out. Is Zach gonna give Ford DRS this time? If he closes in? Because Zach is left in front.
That's right. That's right. The AI of G4 Zach, right there. It's going to be close, you know. That's going to be pretty close. We're right on board with Ford. Keep an eye on the telemetry. Does he have DRS? The answer is no.
Not this time.
No DRS.
And Crichton is going to move.
Here we go. Down the hangar straight, up towards Stowe. Crichton looks to the inside here at turn 15, but 40 on the outside is able to hang on. Around oh my goodness, Crichton around the outside. That turns to the inside at 17. They're side by side through the final corner and back onto the Hamilton straight. It's 1/10 of a second between the top two with 2 laps to go. Through turn 2 they go, up towards Village turn 3. Crichton close, but he won't go for a move just yet. He'll try and set up one. Coming out of turn 4, second gear. Will he short shift? The answer is no. He climbs up through the gears, around Aintree and onto the Wellington straight, up towards Brooklands. 40 moves to the left-hand side. Crichton, where will he go? To the inside here at Brooklands. 40 had to open up the steering so the two didn't make contact. Around Lovefield, Crichton goes to the inside, but 40 on the outside line has got traction. He keeps the fight alive. Around Woodcote, the Ferrari pulls away. 40 hangs on to the lead. Up towards Copse Corner. They drop it down to 7th gear. They get back to maximum throttle just as soon as they hit the outside curb, heading up towards the S's, the famous Maggots and Beckett's S's, through turn 12, around turn 13, up towards turn 14,
in a moment.
Onto the hangar straight. 40's a bit compromised. Crichton's on the attack. He looks to the inside once more, heading into Stowe. He gets in front. 40 can't do anything. 40's down to second. No, he can. He draws alongside on the outside. Around turn 16. That turns to the inside at 17. He's retaken the lead. Around the final corner, turn 18. Onto the Hamilton straight once more. It's the final lap. The final 5.9 kilometres of the race. And Leo's starting to get involved. Through turns 1 and 2. Up towards Village turn 3. Crichton, he shows the nose there at turn 3, but he can't get the move done. Leo trying to look around the outside. He's trying to get the over-under on Crichton. Gremmy's retired from the session. Oh, and I believe Wogboy is collected in that. I'm not sure. Yes, he is. 2 cars crashing at Stowe. Up towards Brooklands for the final time. 40 hangs on to the race lead for now. Heading around Luffield turn 7. Crichton, he needs a nice run out of here. Oh, and I think, and a bit of a wiggle, I think. Oh, that might have been lag, actually, from 40 there. 2.5 tenths separating the top 2. Half a second separating the top 3 as they head around. Oh, my word. Running wide there, Crichton. He makes a mistake at Copse Corner. Through the S as we go. Through Maggots and Beckett's for the final time in this race. As I contrast gets a 3-second time penalty.
No, Crichton!
Oh, Crichton has spun! He has made a mistake on the final lap and has potentially thrown the race away. 40 has got a clear track in front and a healthy gap behind as he heads around Stowe for the final time up towards the Vale chicane. It's half a second between the top 2. Leo can do nothing. 40, he won the sprint. He's going to win the main race. G-Force Ford wins the British Grand Prix. Leo in second, and Crichton, I'm sure, are not so happy third.
What a final. What a 3 laps. Oh my goodness. I had goosebumps, I'm not gonna lie. Like, that was amazing. I was watching the whole onboard from Crichton behind Ford. It was just amazing to watch.
Wow. Outside of the top 3 places, we have Spelly, Spicy, Vengeance, Contrast, Ferrari Pro, Plebs, Luke. That rounds out the top 10. Then we have Darren 11, G-Force Wogboy, Vision 10, Roscoe Arm Bags, and the AI of G4 Zach in 17th.
Wow, it just clicked this race in the last 3 laps. It just clicked like this.
It all came
Oh
together.
my god! Oh my god!
As Roscoe Arm snags himself fastest lap, so he'll score that extra point. And that's it. Pretty much a repeat. Almost. What happened in Miami? Fordy ended up winning both races. The sprint race and the main race in Miami. He did the exact same thing here. He had a lot more work to do this time around, though, I'd say. That was a superb battle between the top 3. Oh, went on for several laps, tossing and turning, but only one driver can stand on top, and that driver is G-Force Ford. Leo will take home a very creditable second place finish. And Crichton, like I said, I can't help but feel he's going to be quite disappointed with third place after spinning out at Chapel. It could have thrown his a potential race win away. So
well, actually, it wasn't that close as he was in other laps. So in the end, he just lost 1 position. In one way, I think he can be not happy, but still not so sad about just losing 1 position after that big mistake. But knowing the mentality of Crichton, he will be, of course, disappointed, because I think he always wants to win, so...
Yeah. But there we are. The unofficial results of the main race here at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix. G-Force Ford is your race winner, with G-Force Leo coming home in 2nd and Crichton completing the podium in 3rd. Spilly is 4th, followed by Spicy in 5th, then Vengeance, I Contrast, and F1 Ferrari Pro. Plevs and Luke, the 2 Alpine drivers, round out the top 10. Then we got Darren 11, G-Force Wogboy, Vision 10th. Roscoe Arm completes the points and he scored the fastest lap as well. Then outside of the points we have Bags Liddell, G-Force Zach. And Gremmy's classified. He's classified 2 laps down. Karma is the only classified DNF, down in 19th position. Hello, Leo, by the way.
Hello.
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 You had an interesting day, didn't you, Leo?
Yeah, it was a bit of a... It was a good race, but just being a third man DRS train is just like...
Bit stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put it together, though, in qualifying.
Yeah, that was a great lap.
26.5.
Yeah, I told myself at the start if I did a 0.5 I'd be happy, but yeah, it was good with that.
Yeah, no, was there, test the racing driver in you, was there any more time in the lap?
Well, there's always time in anyway. But,
Correct.
Yeah, but it was a pretty good lap. Happy
It was a pretty good lap. No, you put together one very nice looking time at the end of that session. Got to start from pole position and 40 snatched it away from you into turn 1.
Yeah, it was a bad start. It was a bit annoying, but I knew I wouldn't be the third man DRS train, so I had a chance. And then I just the first 5 laps I just couldn't get used to the grip. I was a bit nervous. After 5 laps, I started to get into rhythm a bit more, but yeah, by that time I was 3rd already and 40 was up the road, so
Yeah.
it's annoying. Yeah.
But ended up coming home in 3rd position. So a nice little bundle of points, and you got to start P3. And you sort of mentioned it. You were sort of a third wheel, sort of throughout that race. Just sort of stuck between the 2 guys in front, battling away. But was it, knowing that you were stuck there, was it just being a bit conservative, just trying to save a bit of tyre, a bit of battery, or were you?
Yeah, exactly. I was just trying to, because even if you drive really quick, if you're the third man DRS train, there's not much you can do unless they make a mistake or they contact the thing. I was just trying to save tyres, save ERS. I wanted to undercut them, but Crichton pitted very early for someone in first, so I was a bit surprised by that. The undercut didn't work, and I managed to get back in the DRS just. Then I was just saving ERS after that. I saved up like 60% ERS, and that I was like, there's no way they can have that much ERS, because it felt like they were using it in every straight, like, because they were battling so much. But yeah, I tried on the last lap, because I thought I had a lot more ERS in them, and then Crichton spun, and I was, a little grin popped off my face then.
Naturally.
Naturally, yeah.
But
and then it was still a good race, and yep.
Put it all together at the end, getting a second place finish. But you had an opportunity not to be in the fight after the pit stop rotation, because you dropped out of that 1 second range. You were almost 1.5 seconds behind, and then on one lap, I think it might have been 16, 17 or something like that, you decimated that gap to get back within a second. Like, was there just one lap where you just went, man, I need to go, I need to send it and close the gap?
Exactly, I was just like, I think it was a combination of a good lap from me and them battling a bit, but I just thought, if I don't absolutely send it now, it's not going to happen, so
yeah,
it kind of gave me the nerves dropped off a bit. I was like, it's now or never kind of. It works, so.
No, absolutely. We understood it, and we couldn't believe how you pulled that off. That was a mega lap to get back within the fight. And then, of course, that sort of fluctuation. You lose a bit, then you gain a bit, then you lose a bit, gain a bit, and then it all came together on the last lap. You ended up taking a second place finish. So, no, well done for that effort. That's a huge effort at the end of that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Marco, have you got anything to ask GeForce Leo?
Well, what can I say? I just wanted to underline like that lap when you recovered a lot of time on Crichton and Ford and just had a shot on the win. Unlucky for you because, of course, like when you're third in a DRS train, it's always hard. But did you feel like you could have used more battery in the penultimate lap? Because I saw you had a lot more ERS than the guys in front. So
yeah, I mean, I was trying to save it all for the last straight, I think, in the last lap.
Yep.
Because I don't think there was much point using the lap before. And I think maybe it could have worked if they didn't have enough ERS in the last DRS straight, and I would have got a better slipstream from Crichton, but he spun, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one final question for you, Leo. Heading over to next week, we race at COTA for the United States Grand Prix. How do you feel heading into next week?
Oh, I don't know. I don't really like that track, to be honest. It's
Fair
very
enough.
tough on trait limits and stuff. If you can just not get a penalty, you're basically going to win, to be honest.
Yeah, it tends to how it works around there. So that'll be the main thing to worry about over the course of the race and through qualifying as well. But for you, Leo, congrats on the mega pole lap and the 2 podium finishes that you had in both the sprint and the main race. Well done.
Yeah, thank you, boys.
Move on to third overall, a bit out of order, but that's only because Leo joined first. So we gave him the questions first. Mr. Crichton.
Hello.
How do you feel, first of all, physically? Have you recovered at all?
Yeah, I'm starting to get there, Lane.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Slowly getting there. But yeah, no, not too bad. So probably about 90. I'd say 90-95% now.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So the antibiotics are working.
Yeah, the second lot they gave me was much better. And, it's worked wonders, so
Well,
hopefully by next week should be even better.
Well, that's thankful, because last week you sounded horrible. So,
yeah, last week was massive difference. I've changed a lot in the week.
But, now, how was this event here at Silverstone? First of all, how was qualifying for you?
Quality wasn't really the best. So since my birthday, I didn't really get the best preparation for tonight.
Yep.
Stuff, so I'd say, yeah, quality lap didn't really, I'd say, come together really well. So if I knew I could do a 5 or a 6, but just, I don't know, last run just didn't really have it there for the whole lap, so main thing was getting P3, and I knew around this track it didn't really matter, to be honest, so it's not like I was super bummed. Stuff like Japan last week, so yeah, I knew that we could easily come back and fight here.
Yep. And sprint race, decent start, move yourself into P2 after a little while. Was it pretty smooth sailing out there?
Yeah, pretty smooth sailing. My main goal was just to try and get on the front row, really. Stuff, because I know the points don't really matter for the sprint. Like, it's only 1 point between, so I wasn't too worried.
Yeah.
For that, so main goal was just trying to get front row start, really.
Yeah. But no, 40 started to drive away from you after a bit. Was it you turning it off, or was it 40 turning it off?
And stuff. Just being stuck behind Leo, I used a bit too much battery, and then I think I got very close to Bailey, but I just ran out of battery for that DRS, and then I kind of knew that I was slightly quicker than Leo, so I could just hold him there, and yeah, I kind of just knew what I had to do there with the battery, just to fight him off, really. That was the main thing.
Maintain second at that point.
Yeah, that was the main goal.
Started front row. 40 got another good start, didn't he?
Yeah, he did and stuff. It's usually hard to pass here in turn 1 anyway, it's such a short run. So it's kind of, just had my eyes set on turn 2, turn 3 and so on.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it wasn't a bad start for me as well. So I'd say we were pretty even.
Yeah.
Good start.
But you and 40 had some very good battles over the course of that race. You were being a sneaky bugger at turn 6.
Yeah.
Showing the nose, shoving it in.
Yeah.
Then diving down the inside at 7.
Yeah, I feel like I had much better racecraft, but I feel like in the last couple laps I wasn't just driving hard enough and stuff. I was just being a bit too soft. So I need to get my old self out a little bit more, I think, like in those situations. But the thing is, on these cars, I feel like on the previous games, say middle corner grip is so much better, where on this car there's like none. So say I went for a massive dive bomb on Bailey, it's so hard for me to hold my line.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a lot different, I'd say, on last lap battles here, because so you can try and probably hang around the outside a lot, just so much easier now, because
Bailey proved that on a few occasions, especially at Luffield and at Stowe.
Yeah, and stuff. And then I'd say me pitting 1 lap early, I probably should have waited, because I knew that there wasn't much stuff of a time difference going a lap earlier, so I probably should have waited, because I reckon that, I'd say, hurt me on the battery. Yeah. Because I went all the way down to 0, and then I was like, stuff probably going to take a long way to charge up, which it did. Like, it took all the way up until 3 to go until I started to use it, and that was about 60%.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking I probably should have waited, and like maybe if I had 90% battery, that last few laps would have been a lot easier for me to get past.
So you feel as if the undercut, it sort of backfired on you.
And stuff. I feel like I didn't really need to do it around here, but so I think I was just trying to get for track position, and then like the thing is, I think I came out like 1.2 ahead of Bailey, but then I had 0 battery anyway, so I'm like, I just wasted my chance here. Like, what am I going to do? So there was so I didn't really gain myself nothing out of that.
I think that's actually something Marco pointed out as soon as you passed, is that you had no battery. I had a feeling it was going to be equaled out a little bit thanks to the colder tyre temperatures. Didn't really turn out to be a case, though. Those tyres seemed to turn on pretty quickly.
Yeah, they did and stuff. I'd say they turned on by probably, I don't know, Maggots Beckett's is where they were really turned on, I'd say, so I wasn't too worried.
Yeah, right.
And like around the strike, if you just use a lot of battery, you can just gain heaps of time, like a second easily.
Yeah.
But no, my car setup was really, really good. I was very happy with it. I felt like my car was a little bit better than Bailey's on turning middle corner, which is, like you could see on turn 6 and stuff, and I could clearly turn just right underneath him, but no, it was good battle and stuff, really happy with that.
Yeah, how was that final few lap battle?
Yeah, and stuff was really good. Like I said, I was just probably a little bit soft and just put my car in a few spots which I need to learn on this game, just with how hard you can drive it in the corner.
Yep.
I'd say I just need to just readjust to how much slower these cars are, and you can't just send it in here and just try and hang on to it. And then last lap I spun, which I'm sure that you want to speak about.
What happened on the final lap, Crichton?
Tyres, mate, they were way too hot. They were hot and shot. I can tell you that. They were very hot, and I was driving in there really hard. I think I might have been on the button. I don't know what I was doing, but I think I just ran out of tyre grip.
Switched on overtake.
Yeah, but I think I just ran out of tyre grip, to be honest, and I think it would have been close, but who knows, eh? Who knows?
Who knows?
But Leo was in the perfect spot. Like, I reckon if Leo had more battery and say I spun a few corners before, I'd say he would have won that quite easy, I reckon. It's just on battery, because I'm sure Bailey didn't have much in the tank.
I was alright, I wasn't too bad.
Not bad.
40%, I think.
What, for the last straight?
Yeah, last straight.
Yeah, yep. See, that's why I reckon me pitting up earlier hurt me on the battery, because you probably had 20% more than me on that last lap. But no, it was a good battle overall. But yeah, happy with it.
Well, we certainly enjoyed it here. Pato, have you got anything to ask Crichton?
I haven't got anything to ask, to be honest, but what a race. Like, amazing racing between you and Ford, mate. It was just amazing to watch. I actually had goosebumps, like, at some point, because you were like putting your nose in places where you normally don't, and it was just amazing to see. You tried everything in the end, and congratulations anyway. Like, after that mistake, I think just losing one position.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Just coming in P3 after that spin, I was gonna say is pretty yeah, we'll take that because that was a fast spin. It was gone before I knew it. I'm usually pretty good at catching them, but that one was see you later.
Yeah.
So very happy to get P3 on my birthday, so we'll take it.
Your birthday?
Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday to you.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, that's why my preparation wasn't so good for this one. I didn't really have much time tonight. Just
Fair enough. I did not know that. How old are you now?
Oh, we won't speak of that.
How old
21.
are you? Oh, 21. Don't worry, I'm 22.
Oh, no.
I know what I know what that felt like, man. I get it. I absolutely get it.
Yeah.
But,
it's a good race.
One final question for you. Next week we head over to Kota. A race that you've won on a few occasions. How do you feel heading into next week?
I haven't really done many laps here, and I'd say on this game lane, but it should be good. I've had some great battles there. So one that sticks out for memories probably with Chapelele.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair. I'm trying to think what league it was. I think it was in Elite Series, I'm pretty sure. A few years ago, and that was really, really good. I think I passed him on the last lap, but no, there's been many great battles there.
Yeah, we
stuff
had
back in AOR and many things there.
We had the race of the season last season at Kota, I think Pacific
Really?
won. I think it was last season or the season before.
No, it was last season.
Yeah.
No,
it usually turns it up.
I was
not a DRS train, that one. I'd say it's kind of similar
There was
layout
like
to here.
an 8-car fight at the front with like 6 laps to go or something. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
But, well, best of luck for next week, Crichton, and congratulations on your double podium finish in both the sprint and the main race. So, well done.
Cheers, Marco. Cheers, Lane.
But, we'll move on to the race winner. You did it again, mate. I said last week you went and won the sprint and the main race at Miami. And I said, well, you're going to do it again. You said, oh, we'll wait and see. You did exactly that. Well done. You won both of them.
Yeah, pretty happy with it. They're important ones to win, that's for sure. Get as much points as we can, so yeah, definitely helps out in end.
But first of all, how was qualifying for you?
Yeah, I mean P2 front row. It was good. I reckon I probably could have gone a little bit quicker, but I definitely wasn't getting Leo's time. I'd done a couple laps like that in practice, 5 or so, but yeah, that was pushing it to my PB. So I was 7. I was pretty happy with. As I said, front row was good. Yeah, especially after not really getting good bankers in. I was happy to get that.
Yeah, I think you were a 10th and a half off, if I recall correctly.
Yeah,
at the end of qualifying.
It was a great lap from Leo. Yeah, I definitely didn't have anything to counter that. That's for sure.
But you made do of that though, because you ended up getting another nice start from the inside at turn 1 and took the lead. Must have been a nice feeling.
Clearly, since Spain, we've worked out what to do, I guess, and I don't even know what I've done. I've kind of just kept going with them, and yeah, they've been working well for us recently. So yeah, the last 3 race starts, I think, all been pretty good. So hopefully we keep this up.
You know, you got in front, and it looked like you sort of commanded the race from there. Were you sort of comfortable in with the flow?
Yeah, I think it was the very start of lap 2 in Sector 1. Leo had a bad moment or something through, I think it's Vale in Sector 1, is it? I think. I'm not too good with the corner names. Village, maybe. Village.
Which one? First hairpin?
Turn 4.
Turn 4. That would be the loop.
The loop, there you go. I think you got a bad run through there. And yeah, I noticed the gap kind of pulled out to about 8 or so tenths, and I was like, right, if we can just kind of push a little bit, I'd be pretty happy. And thankfully he broke DRS. I was a bit worried when Zach overtook that he might be able to get that back in, but as he said, after battling Leo and burning some of it, then he didn't have any anyway. So yeah, I think he was already below 10% by the time he overtook him, and then I was probably sitting about 40 or 50 again, so pretty comfortable if anything went wrong.
I think he ended up setting the fastest lap on the penultimate
lap
as
8.
well.
Yeah, I've been annoyed there's no points for sprint race, fastest lap, but no, it was good just to kind of see that, you know, we still had the pace there, the tyres weren't going away from us too quick.
No, that was very nice to see. Sort of that authoritative statement that you were well and truly in control out in front.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was a good start to the weekend for sure.
And then in the main race, not only could you start well on the right-hand side of the racetrack, you started pretty well on the left-hand side of the racetrack. From pole position, managed to keep the lead at turn 1.
Yeah, being in front, I guess, makes it already a little bit easier because you can get a little bit worse for start, which I think Zach did get a better start than me, to be honest. But I just did enough to hold it into turn 1, yeah.
Yep. And you, as I mentioned with Zach, you two had a nice battle here and there, ducking and diving down the inside, around the outside. How was it from your point of view in those sort of early laps?
Yeah, it's always good racing. I felt like the pace, obviously, it was nowhere near what we could have driven in the first stint, so it was kind of just, I guess, mind games, you could say, until we got to that pit window
pretty much
stage. So yeah, it's always like good having those little battles, and we ended up pulling away from the rest of the pack, which was nice as well. But yeah, I could tell when Zach was kind of aiming to pit, he turned it up, got the overtake done to me, and yeah, going up to Stowe, he kind of just burnt everything, I feel like, and going for the undercut when you're in first, I think, is probably something I was trying to do this race, and that's what Zach got ahead of me anyways. Yeah, it was a little bit frustrating that, and I didn't get the best in lap, but yeah, thankfully I managed to hold on to DRS with cold tyres, which I don't know how, because those things were bad, really bad.
Really? Right out of the pits, they were shocking.
Yeah. They weren't nice at all, so I think the gap was, I mean, I came out right behind him, going into turn 3, but yeah, that gap was like a second, I think, down the Wellington Straight, and yeah, they were still about 75 degrees, so it was a bit scary going through Luffield and Brooklands.
I imagine.
Yeah, because I had to push, like, there was no real, you know, you can't really push in that situation, because otherwise Zach gets out of a second, and you saw in the sprint race that our pace was dead even pretty much for most of it, so I really couldn't let that happen. And then, yeah, Leo also caught up as well, which was put it back to a 3-car fight.
Yeah, no. And then you and Crichton resumed your battle, ducking and diving within each other. Was it hard fought, but fair at the end?
Yeah, always usually pretty fair, and hard fought for that matter. Yeah, I wanted to be leading on that final lap. I think I was probably running a little bit lower wind than Zach. Zach was just saying how he had better cornering than I did. So yeah, having the straight line speed, I wanted to be in front, and then I can kind of try and defend. So thankfully, I had that spin anyway. I say thankfully as using the wrong word there, but it made my life obviously a lot easier. So it helps me out a bit for sure. It was good battling. Yeah. And also, I guess, happy birthday, Zach, but I couldn't let you win on your birthday. I'm sorry, man. Sorry about that before. No.
Yeah, it's
here's your birthday gift. I win that.
Yeah, spin. Let's go. Thanks. Spin in a sand pit. Let's go.
Build a sand castle for me.
It was close for sure.
No, it's good fun. It's always good battles.
And Britain turns it on. I think that's pretty clear as well. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's definitely one of the better racetracks we go to because it's so competitive between everybody, because everyone knows this track. So
yeah, the only thing that was frustrating was the 50 border at the Wellington Straight getting taken out. That got taken out in all 3 sessions, which
oh really
made life difficult going into there. I was pretty much guessing on the last couple of laps.
I completely understand that pain because I too run no line. I need those boards, man.
You need those boards, exactly right. So no, it was yeah. In everything, I was pretty proud of myself with how I managed to cope with it because yeah, I was kind of looking at the board on the left instead, which is taking your eyes way away from the apex. So, yeah, not nice, but we managed it, which is good.
Yep. But now I was going to say as well, when you saw that Mercedes spin in your rear view, it must have taken a bit of weight off your shoulders.
Oh, for sure. I burned all my battery anyway, just as
just to make sure
what I had left. But yeah, it was kind of just okay. Next four corners, 5 corners. That's it. Just
get it right.
Off the race.
Just don't screw up. Just get
exactly right. And as I said, I did everything right before then, getting into the lead for that straight. So yeah, I was pretty happy with it. Did what I needed to do.
But, Marco, have you got anything to ask our race winner?
I actually clapped when you crossed the line because not just for you, Bailey, but also for the racing you had quite and delivered. That was amazing. Well, did you feel like you were faster in a straight line compared to the others, or what was your feeling on track like in terms of?
I did feel a little bit quicker than the others. I did initially think that maybe Zach was a bit quicker, but after kind of getting into the I guess, middle stages of the race, I was pretty happy with where I was at. So, yeah, the setup was good again. Not as good as Japan. Japan was, like, my best setup I've ever made, but this one was good as well. So, yeah, you could definitely tell Zach probably did have a bit more wing with that, his, I guess, overtakes in turn 6, just sticking up the nose there. I don't know how he managed to do it. But, yeah, thankfully,
sneaky,
yeah. As we spoke about, the outside, you can kind of keep a bit more running momentum, I guess, and hold the position. So, managed to do that, but no, it was good racing all around. It should be the same at Coda next week, I think.
Yeah, how do you feel heading into next week?
I don't think I've won there yet. Last season, obviously, had a good battle with Zach. Anything could have happened in that race, but yeah, I'm definitely feeling better going into it this season than last. And off the back of 2 wins, I guess you could say now.
Yeah.
It makes life pretty good. So the championship gap's closing. And yeah, it was just, I guess, a good drive today.
Yeah, no, we're starting to get into the important end of the championship because, as you mentioned, that gap at the top has shrunk. It's
I don't know
on.
what it is now. It was 14.
The
It's
gap,
free,
But
yeah.
yeah. How much is it? 3?
The B3.
yeah.
3, there you go. So
I lost 10 in that race. P3.
Plus the
So there you
1
go.
point from the
Yeah,
sprint.
so 11.
I don't get a pass up for that. That doesn't count. No points.
But no, it is on. It is definitely on, and I'm looking forward to next week. But for now, best of luck next week, 40. But congratulations on a very fine performance here at Silverstone and winning the British Grand Prix. Well done.
Thank you. Cheers, Lane. Cheers, Marco.
But I think, Marco, they'll wrap up another stream. An
Yes.
exciting one at that. A very good one. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But
Me too.
a final thank you to you as well. Your help has been dearly appreciated once again. It's very
very
nice
much.
to have you here in the comm box. But, I think that will wrap everything up for Pacific Tier 1. I'm Lane Everingham. My co-commentator, as always, is GeForce Pato. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for Round 9 of the Championship at Circuit of the Americas for the United States Grand Prix. Until then, it's goodbye.